Hi,
Oh,
Vinita.
hey.
Welcome to
Uh,
Caapid Simplified's uh, video. And you're going to be featured on YouTube for a very special achievement of yours for being one among only 8 applicants to get into UNC School of Dental Medicine this year. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Uh, a crown jewel is the fact that you have another admit in your hand, which you are contemplating deciding with amongst, and you have 6 more interviews that you cleared recently, and you're expecting to have more invites coming in. So that's quite a good problem to have on someone's plate. And congratulations for doing that. You've been a great person we've met in the process of helping applicants, a great friend too right now. And I recall we speaking a couple of days back, asking you to put together a collection of pictures that
That's,
spoke about your story.
uh-huh.
Looks like we have that ready over here and would love to hear your story by way of visuals.
Hey, sure. So in 2018, I applied to schools and I only got two invites. One was Michigan and Buffalo.
Mhm.
But unfortunately, I didn't have enough time in my hand to, I think I was not ready that cycle, although I had invitations in hand. So that didn't happen and I had to maintain my visa status. So after graduating from my MPH course, I got a job at the Texas Department of State Health Services,
Mhm.
and I hadn't owned a car back then. And this is a picture of my first car that I bought, some with my money and some with my parents' help. So this is a very memorable time of my life where I could actually buy my own car.
Mhm.
So yeah, this was one of those memorable times. And then this was 2019, where I took up a bench test course in Plano.
Mhm.
And I made some great friends here, and the doctor was very nice. I mean, very encouraging. But again, as you say, things didn't work out. But the guy you're seeing in this picture here, his name is Nishit. He happens to be my junior in my previous dental school. And just you just meet, such courses just make you meet your old friends. So it was a nice time to meet a fellow KLite. So yeah, it was really fun. And then 2019, I also had an interview in Buffalo,
Mhm.
but again, this time I did not make it. But I was like, I'm not going to sit and cry about this. And with a fellow friend who didn't get into who didn't clear the bench as well, we decided we'll just go see Niagara. So this was one of those opportunities where I actually went and saw the Niagara Falls, and it was breathtaking. This was beginning of 2020, and uh, I was a little taken aback with not getting anywhere. I had 5 invites in hand in 2019, but not one acceptance, and I was a little taken aback here. So I went back to India. I thought this would be a good time to bond with my family. And also, ODA course has been on the horizon back then, that it was really getting students to clear their bench exams.
Mhm.
And I thought I should probably take a holiday and also get the right guidance towards sharpening my bench skills.
Mhm.
So this is in Chandigarh, and I'm telling you, these people here, they are very, very good friends. And 18 days spent there in Chandigarh. We had a great time. We learned, and we also had we had a lot of fun after classes. And this is a picture just before coming off from there.
Mhm.
And this is me with my parents and sister and my grandmother.
Mhm.
And I hadn't gone to India in 3 years. So it was a very, it was like therapy for me to meet my family. I think this helped me get back on track and come back in February and start with my applications and get ready for March again.
Mm-hmm.
So I think these people were like, they were my therapy to success this year. And one very good decision that I took again was to attend Dr. Stevensons' advanced restorative course.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of changed certain aspects of dentistry for me and the way I present myself at interviews. And Dr. Stevenson and Savi and this whole gang here, they
Mm-hmm.
were so instrumental in achieving success this year. I'm not saying that this it was only just Stevenson or just ODA or just my family, and I'm sure it's a combined effort from everything that I've done that helped me get where I am today.
Mm-hmm.
So thanks to them again. And not, last but not the least, this was one of the webinar recordings that, not webinar, I'm sorry, my own YouTube recording, which I had while I trained for UNC. And this was my treatment planning with Nourah, which finally helped me get here. So I'm so happy about it. And in this process, they say like, it wasn't easy. These failures kept taking a toll on my health, and I had put on a lot of weight in the past 6 to 8 months,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, no, I need to. This will keep happening, and then I chose to get healthier. And over the past 4 months, I've been able to get back to my previous weight, and I'm still in this journey. So trying to get more healthier. And just a small tip to my friends and my fellow dentists who will keep applying. This is something that I always told myself. I saw this quote somewhere and I saved it and I made this my wallpaper for almost 8 months, I guess. I said, this too shall pass. It might pass like a kidney stone, but it will pass. And trust me, it will pass. I think we just need to identify those gaps, or wherever we are lacking. And if we work on that, I'm sure we all will get there. Yeah, that's about it from me.
Fantastic. You can stop sharing your screen. You can
Yes.
go back to having your feature on the video. All right.
Okay.
So, Vinita, thank you so much for sharing your journey. It's one thing to overcome difficulties and become successful. It's
Yes.
another thing to be open about sharing your failures and talking about the truth behind what made those successes eventually happen.
It's my
Uh,
pleasure.
so, looks like you also have been achieving a couple of personal milestones in terms of reconnecting with your family at the right time, in terms of um, losing weight in the process and becoming
Yes.
much more healthier. And of course, getting a job, earning yourself some bucks on the side, and so on and so forth. Probably the first thing I'm going to ask, and very relevant to our applicants, is your diversity in experiences with 3 different bench courses. You've had one in Plano, one in Chandigarh, and one in California. What would you say about these 3, and how can somebody applying to the next cycle choose among these 3 options if they were to look at these?
Actually, I have to correct you. I actually went for 4. In
Ah,
2018, I also went to Dr. Tools. I don't have pictures. That's a different thing. But I would say each one had its own perks. But again, everybody doesn't have the money. I was able to do this for myself because I was earning. If somebody else has to shell the money for you, attending 4 bench courses is probably not the best thing.
mm-hmm.
I would say, so attend a short bench course, something that's taken for 2 days, and get yourself acquainted with the burrs and what are the different finish lines, and get a general idea of how what are the things that are expected by the universities and all that, and start practicing for a couple of months. and then take one final 1 week or um, a long bench course, because it's practically impossible for you to learn everything in 2 days. I think that I don't have regrets, but I felt 2 days bench course would not help me that much, because how much would I learn in 2 days? I would probably just learn, but I wouldn't have the time to practice for it. So if you can attend a bench course like Stevenson or ODA, where they give you enough time to practice as well, I think that would be good, because learning is something, and when you do it, you want to know how you are doing it, and getting feedback is also necessary. So I would say keep aside that money. uh, Instead of going to 10 different courses, go to one. If you're already acquainted with, but it's for applicants who are in the who are in this phase like me, who are in their third cycle or second cycle, who already know what typodonts are and different typodonts and different expectations. Go to a course like Stevenson's or ODA, where you get to work on your mistakes and ace the bench test. Yeah.
All right. After 4 different bench courses
Mm-hmm.
and choosing between 2 days and 7 day courses,
Mm-hmm.
you finally got admits in a cycle that had virtual interviews. What
That's
did,
right.
what did you feel about that?
Um, Sometimes I can't believe it. Sometimes I also question myself, had this been a regular cycle, uh, would it be different? Would it be more challenging? I think it definitely will make a I mean, there's definitely going to be a different level of impact or competition if had this been a regular interview, face to face.
Mhm.
But I still believe I trained myself well enough this year. I turned no stone, and I didn't try to leave anything at all. And even if I had gone to attend the interview in person, I think I would have, I believe I would have gotten in, because I try to focus on those areas which I found myself to be weak in, and gotten help to improve in those areas.
Mhm.
So yes, virtual versus traditional is it's definitely, virtual definitely gives a little leeway.
Mhm.
I don't deny that, but again, I was prepared for anything this year. Trust me, I didn't have to shell money on Stevenson at this point, because I didn't even go to one bench test this year. But that was not why, that was not something I was aiming at. I think we all have to prepare ourselves for anything that comes up. So yeah, that's something I urge every student to do.
Awesome. Uh, let's ask one question before we go into specifics.
Sure.
The one big question is 15 invites over a 3 year time period,
Mm-hmm.
2 wait lists, and 2 admits. And of course, so much money down the drain, uh,
Right.
thanks to courses, coaching,
Right.
and unlike this year, you would have had to take a flight to travel to each of these places
Mm-hmm.
in the
Mm-hmm.
previous years for attending interviews. What kept you going? Why didn't you choose to instead take like a residency or take a dental hygienist course or an expanded program in dental assistantship and so on? What kept you on the course to a DDS?
I'm not a loser. I'm a fighter. I think that's the first reason. Yeah. The whole dream, this dream started when I was 18 years old. Like 1 year into dental school, I knew I wanted to go to the US. I knew I wanted to practice. I wanted to do my DDS there ever since I knew these three letters, DDS. This is what I wanted to do. And come on, just 2 failures. I can't call myself a failure just because I didn't get in 2 times. I am sure I made some mistakes, or I was lacking somewhere, or the my fellow friends were probably a step ahead of me, and that's the reason the school chose them. Doesn't mean I'm not worthy enough. And every one of you here, you are worthy enough. It's just that maybe we have some things that we need to work on. So yeah, I know it was a lot of money, but again, I am grateful for family and friends who believed in me, my parents who supported me, that yeah, basically having this job, I didn't have to take financial help. My credit scores were crazy because I had to swipe my credit card. I barely made 3,000. So financially also, I planned myself. Like, I know if my cycle starts in March, I started saving every month, $100 every month, so that I had enough money uh, by July, August, so that I can fly for tickets. Applications were always credit cards. So, yeah, I mean, we know we are applying to courses which are expensive. I mean, you spend a $250,000 loan, you're going to apply for a loan so bad. So $20,000 and $30,000 will not matter. The reason I invested all this here is because it's better to invest more in one cycle and get through an admission in the first shot than apply every cycle and lose the money. You lose money on applications, you lose money on different trainings, you lose money on travel. So it's better you act smart, spend money for once,
Mhm.
ask your relatives, ask your friends that, hey, I'm sure you all have people who trust in you, so ask them for that money. Okay, and for once, like, learn and give it your best shot and get your admit and finish it off. This is my personal advice to every one of you here.
Awesome. This is great. You said a couple of things. One is ROI. You said it's not about the money you spend today, but
Yes,
the money you're going to spend eventually. And in comparison to that, this is a small
that's right.
fraction. You also said it's okay to take help from those who believe in you, um,
Mhm.
because eventually you'll be in a very good position to pay them back.
Yeah.
And you also said probably one thing that was good for you was that you spent largely out of your own earnings. Even if your earnings were pretty low for
Mhm.
like an entry level job in the US, you still managed to save up money, change your lifestyle accordingly, and use that as a way to pay for your applications,
Right.
which might have reduced your guilt or might have made it difficult in any way.
Right.
Um, this is great. Let's go to another question, which is we spoke about a little bit about bench. We spoke a little bit about your persistence and what really drove you. But why DDS? And don't answer this question like you would answer it in an interview. Just
Mhm.
tell when you said, back in your 18 you wanted DDS, and now I'm not sure how old you are, you don't have to mention it. but but why DDS still? Why do you think you want DDS so bad?
Um, I probably don't have a very clear cut answer to that. It's just something that I always wanted to pursue. And I see my fellow dentists and friends who have graduated, who are doing well in their lives. And in India, or back home, in any country back home, what we learn, I think the quality or the level of dentistry that we learn is probably not up to the mark,
Hmm.
especially with digital dentistry. And I'm sure we can do residencies and stuff, but I didn't find myself that capable to go ahead with a residency because I felt I probably still needed some training in terms of general dentistry per se.
Hmm.
So I wanted to experience the US way of general dentistry and how I wanted to learn firsthand, instead of observing or uh, shadowing and all these things. We've done enough, but I wanted to do it by myself. So that's the reason I want to pursue this course. And also another aspect for me is I really love teaching.
Hmm.
So and I want to be a professor down the line, maybe 10, 15 years. So I wanted to get that kind of guidance from professors from dental school who can help, who can be mentors to me in helping me achieve my dreams. So
Mm-hmm.
this is one main reason why I want to pursue DDS here, so that I can learn all these concepts and the US way of dentistry in 2 years, and also probably discover my path. For now, even before I go to school, I'm thinking I want to be a professor. But maybe once I join school, if I really fall in love with one of these departments, and I choose to pursue a residency, or probably go into teaching in that field or research in that field, I want the school to help me reveal my interests or my future interests.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Did you ever at any point contemplate joining an AAGD program versus the DDS?
Never. I
Okay.
always wanted to do DDS. In fact, I had many friends saying, if you're not getting in, why don't you try AGD? Or why don't you try these dental public health courses? Or why don't you try residencies, apply for the PASS program? I'm like, I am getting into DDS. I know.
Awesome.
It's going to be late, but I'm getting into DDS.
It's almost like you wanted to pursue it because it was tough, not because it was easy. Uh, and that's what the president
Yeah,
said when
probably.
US launched its first rocket, Apollo 11. He said, "We're going to do it not because it's tough, not because it's easy, but because it's tough." All right.
Yeah.
We'll ask another question, going a little back in time. When you had the choice to apply straight out of uh, BDS, you would have had multiple options
Hmm.
to consider. One is come to the
Right.
US, pursue an MPH. One is start practicing in India and then come directly apply. One is apply for an MDS program in India and then come. So you would have had these different pathways to choose from. Um, Speak to the pathway that you chose and why you chose it. Hey, Vinita, did you lose me?
Um, your voice really broke. Your voice is really breaking. So your question was, when I had so many options to come here, why did I choose this path? Am I right?
Yes.
Okay. So our school was very nice like that. So one of my seniors who graduated from KLE, he then went on to get an admission into USC and graduated from there. And on one of his vacation, he came to visit the school. And my principal was kind enough in asking him, "Hey, why don't you take a small interaction with the current interns, because most of them have plans to come to the US, and maybe you can guide them." And he pursued his MPH and then um, went on to pursue his DDS basically. So at that point, I realized that I was, until then, I was planning on just coming here on a visit visa, applying. I thought it was a piece of cake. I thought if I clear my NBDE and apply to schools, I would get an invitation and I would just join DDS. That was the kind of bubble I lived in. But only when I came here, I realized there's something called bench test. There's something called shadowing that I have to do. There's something called volunteering I have to do. So it was like one of those aspiring, uh, hero or heroines who set off from these villages, coming to Mumbai and pursue their dream, of becoming. And once they come, they're like, oh my God, this is just. That's how I felt. So the reason I chose to pursue MPH was because it would open a lot of opportunities to me, and also definitely understand the healthcare system in the United States.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it opened up a lot of, like, I learned the US with education system. I think that was mostly important because tomorrow when I start dental school, I will not be new to these assignments and APA format of writing papers or going and doing literature review. Had I if I would have just gotten into school by just, um, with just a visitor visa or no pre-US education background, I would probably be, I'm not saying I would be failure. I would definitely pick up, but I won't be that overwhelmed by the course load or the expectations that the school would have had
Yeah.
I not pursued an MPH.
Mhm.
So I didn't know all this when I wanted to come do MPH, but this is all the what do you say, thought process of it. So yeah, definitely pursuing. I would say if people can afford it financially, at least try to do a small course. And the reason I chose this is another important point that I would like to say. I picked up a course that had the STEM OPT because that gave me 2 years more time on my student visa.
Mhm.
Because if I would have taken, so I took the epidemiology major because it gave me a 2 year more time versus somebody who took up health policy as their major or behavioral health as their major, because it gives them only 1 year's time. So another thing, if you guys are applying for a master's course, please be aware that try to apply to courses that that have a STEM program, because life happens. Although we come with these great plans that everything will happen in 1 year, sometimes it might not. And you should not go through the um, mental torture of looking for other courses or filing an H1, or the recruiters rejecting your application because they would have to sponsor you an H1 at this point with your any MHA degree or MPH or anything else.
Mhm.
So yeah, that be smart enough in applying to a STEM course.
Awesome. A couple of good choices here by Vinita, very strategic. One is she chose a program that would give her a good opportunity to get exposed to US healthcare from a different perspective, not exactly from dentistry. Another thing she did was she went to a school in Texas, which is generally considered a place for lower tuition costs
That's true.
and obviously even lower living expenses in comparison to most of the schools on the coasts. A choice she made was taking epidemiology, like she mentioned, for a STEM program, which
Mhm.
basically gives her a 3 year time period to apply to universities, in her case, the DDS. She also went through this journey as a bachelor. She did not have moral or financial support living with her in her house every single day, which made the challenge quite
Mhm.
more difficult. I
Yeah,
recall her mentioning once that she did her MPH program also on a student loan. So that, however, did not scare her in terms of applying to DDS and taking another $300,000 loan down the road, because one part of her income was paying off the first student loan,
that's true.
living through Texas in the probably low cost of living and the lifestyle she made for herself. And then she spent the remaining money, of course, with credit cards to the upcoming cycles, which she would pay back eventually. So you see, in her journey, unlike many people's we've heard, it's a lot of financial planning, a lot of grit involved, and a lot of personal decision making for which she did not have to depend, or she could not depend on several people out there. So kudos to that, Vinita. I'm sure people will reach out to you, especially for learning about how to plan your finances. In your case, it's been you not had like a personal somebody with you who's had a joint bank account and kind of eased it for you along the process. Um, let's go to another question, which is about interviews. And this is very important to me because I've been there in your journey, at least towards the fag end.
Right.
Um, you've been through 15 interview invites and you would have gone to at least 10 of them so far, I'm guessing. What
Right.
changed between your first interview and your final interview, or between the first and your UNC interview? What changed in the process and how did you make that change happen?
Uh, I'm not. Uh, I'm not going to praise you because I'm doing the video with you, but I think I had a different level of confidence when I started interviewing for these cycles, and I will not lie. This confidence was only because I took help from Caapid Simplified. I'm not saying this again, reminder, I'm not saying this because I'm doing the webinar with these guys, but trust me, Caapid Simplified has been so instrumental in helping me be myself. I think they just reminded me that I am a confident person. Why am I shying away? Why am I putting myself down when I'm going to these interviews? I think um, it's just the way they help you tell your own story, but in a way that the interviewers see you, um, see the actual potential in you than giving traditional answers that, yes, your program has CAD-CAM, your program has CEREC, that's why we want to go to school. No, I mean, I got into these schools because I told my own story. I told it with sincerity, and uh, I made sure that this time the interview was not an interviewer sitting with a tie and asking me questions and I'm folding my hands. They helped me make my interview more of a conversation and helping me understand the school and helping the interviewer understanding me, giving my 100%. So yes, don't shy away in spending money. Take their help. I've had so many friends contact me and say, how did you get into UNC? How did you get these invites? And I've always passed on Caapid Simplified's contact to them. I said, hey, whatever they charge, they're charging. I think they're very reasonable with their charge. And even till date, even after I got invites, trust me, I took up a 1 hour course with them just to nail another interview. I don't know if I'll even take that school if I get in, but it was important for me to be prepared. I think Caapid Simplified will help you with that. So yeah, what changed between all those previous cycles and this cycles is just Caapid Simplified.
All right, let's thank you for the compliments. It really means a lot. But
It's truly from my heart, and I want people to know that um, you should invest in Caapid Simplified.
okay, cool. I was about to go to another question, but probably not right now.
Okay.
Um, let's speak a little bit about um, in terms of your application writing. Right now, obviously, you didn't get 8 interview invites out of out of the blue.
Mhm.
Uh, how do you think you managed your full-time job or MPH? I'm not sure which years you applied, but how did you manage that, your coursework or your full-time job and application writing? What was your strategy like in that perspective?
I always began way too early.
Mhm,
Like if my uh, application cycle starts in March,
mhm.
I had everything ready by end of February, which
Wow.
means I started working on it from the time I heard rejections in November
Mhm.
2019. UCSF rejected me saying, okay, we waitlisted you. We have our students now. I grieved. And then I was like, you don't have any more time to grieve. You need to buck up.
Mhm.
So December, I started contacting my professors for LORs again, reminding them that, hey, you need to apply, you need to upload something in 2 months. I had those letters ready because in March, all I wanted to do was send them an email saying you should expect an email from CAAPID and you will have to upload something. And I sent them the letter, or they had the letter, just reminding that I think you have the letter. If you do not, let me know. I have a copy, sending them. So if it is my work, I need to be behind it. And started working on my SOP way before.
Mhm.
Started working on my CAPID profiles because if I work on it beforehand, CAPID will always give me an option to, it says when the cycle starts, do you want to copy your previous what do you say, previous cycles
Yes.
information, or you
Yeah.
want to begin fresh? And I was smart enough in saying, no, I want to begin the previous cycle. And I went ahead and tried to change any spelling errors or any grammatical errors. And I was good. Yeah, I think being smart is important. You can open your CAPID cycle. I mean, you can open your CAPID profile anytime, start filling in information, because you must have done so much on your profile. It's practically impossible to update everything once for all. So once you remember things, I would go and put it in there. And another thing is, if I did anything new, I always updated my resume that day itself. Went up, changed it on my CV, went, put it on my CAPID. Maybe later you can change your date, but it's important that you go put this information, because you will forget, and you must have done a lot more, but it might not be there on your profile because you just treaded it lightly, saying, procrastinating that I would fill it in sometime later. So
Okay.
this is something that I always did. Yeah,
Awesome.
begin early.
We'll just ask two more questions in this
Sure.
webinar. The penultimate one is about a person I've heard in your journey.
Mhm.
You mentioned this person as somebody who studied in uh, Pittsburgh and a couple of other schools who had a big influence on your journey.
That's right.
Just talk to us a little bit about that person and what kind of
Sure.
help he helped you with.
Sure. I think he deserves this thank you or gratitude from my end to probably publicly. His name is Dr. Satya Upadhyayula,
Mm-hmm.
and he came here for he came to the University of Louisville to pursue his master's in oral biology,
Mm-hmm.
and he was so instrumental in helping me understand that I need to start being proactive and give my GRE, TOEFL, apply to these to MPH programs, and then came here. We prepared together for part one, and while he was diligently preparing for part two, I got sidetracked, and he went ahead, which he should, because he was very dedicated. Then once he graduated from MS Oral Biology, he got into University of Pittsburgh. Then he just didn't just get into a dental school, but he graduated out of the school with honors, with a lot of scholarships and academic achievements. And finally, he bagged a internship. I believe it's an internship in University of Maryland in oral and maxillofacial surgery. So he's in his path towards getting into a residency in oral surgery, and I wish the best for him. The reason he's been so instrumental is because he's the one who I sent my uh, LORs and personal statements for review and feedback, and he was very honest, and he helped keep me grounded at any point. Once you start getting these invites, I think somewhere it gets into your head that, hey, I have so many invites, I think I'm going to make it. But help me realize that although you have invites, the competition outside is crazy. You need to work hard. You need to be better, a little more better at this. So he made me realize what the actual world is like, and was there to guide me or help me in anything that I needed. And he still continues to be. So yeah, that's that's very less about him, but yeah, he's a great friend and a mentor. Yeah.
Awesome. I especially like the word grounded and how these friends or mentors actually help us stay
Yes.
grounded because of two things.
Mhm.
One is when you think of grounded, everybody imagines us flying in our own bubble, and we need to be pulled back to a sense
Yeah.
of reality or humility. But then this is also the second part of being grounded, which is a lot of dentists tend to dig themselves into their own grave, thinking this is not possible for them or getting depressed about. what they're not being able to achieve. So somewhere somebody has to lift them back to the ground and say,
That's
hey,
right.
the competition is still
That,
straight. You can wade among everybody else. So
that's true.
uh,
That's true.
it's mentors do help us stay grounded. And there's nothing
Mhm.
for me personally in my life. When I came from India to the US, the biggest thing I learned was to take help and how much it
That's
could
true.
change your
That's
life.
true.
Uh,
Yeah.
we have plenty of that for free in India that we take it for granted, and it's not the same case here. Okay,
Mhm.
last question for this webinar
Sure.
is if the older, wiser, successful Vinita went back and met her younger self,
Mhm.
what would she tell her?
I would just tell her to be herself. I think I am. I am a product of my experiences. So I had to go through those failures. I had to make those mistakes to be what I am today. I think if I would have gotten an admit in my first shot, I wouldn't be I wouldn't be the person that I am today.
Mhm.
Probably I would be, yeah, it's easy, it's not difficult, you can just get in. But no, we all have a different journeys. Um, Also, when I started, I'm the last one in my batch to get into a dental school, while all my friends got in. But that doesn't mean I am any less than them, or they didn't make me feel that I'm any less than them too. My batchmates have always been supportive.
Mhm.
They're like, hey, why don't you apply this year? Maybe you could do this. Maybe I can put in a word. Maybe I can help you a little. So I think yeah, just I think I would not change anything. Yeah, you should not just I just don't have any regrets. um our time will come, it will definitely come, but uh just sitting there and not doing anything will again not get you anything. If you have made some mistakes, I know, take that time to grieve. But once you're done with that, sit and reflect on what you could have done better,
Mhm.
and you will be there where I am now. And I think it will happen for everyone.
Fantastic. I think the one thing you said along the road was when you were younger, you saw your batchmates as competition. You wanted to get better at them
Yeah,
at the race. But
yeah,
as you grew, you've you've made that an inspiration, but also used them as anchors, where you took their support in plodding along your journey because you wanted to carve out what was your path and not what was defined by other people's milestones.
that's right.
Um, so fantastic, Vinita. This was a great conversation to talk with you. I know there was so much more in your life that I would have wanted to discuss, but a very resilient single woman from Hyderabad coming all the way to the US, setting her own foot, getting her own education, making her own money, and getting her own way into application cycle, the third time at it, is fantastic. So kudos to you and your family for being there as a support system and everything else that's going to come after this.
Thank you so much. And it just, I think somewhere down the line, I forget that I've been through these experiences. And thank you for refreshing my memories. So, thank you for this webinar. And I'm happy to help anyone who at least do my bit or share a part of my journey and give them some advice based on my experiences. So thank you, and all the best to all the upcoming dentists.
Fantastic.